Information about mining on the internet and social media. Conversations about mining. Hi, Jess. How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Having a lot of stuff pop up in my social media about mining that I question sometimes, which is why
Hmm.
we're doing this interview. I know you've seen a few things
Yep.
lately. Um,
Yep.
it's if you're asking a question on a social media page and they're not answering it directly and they're just letting randoms below comment on it and they're acting like that's the proper answer, you probably should be taking that information with a grain of salt, unfortunately. I
Yep.
know I've seen a lot of it around lately, and you gave me a few examples before, but the example that I was giving you was the question that, how acceptable is it to be late for the mining job? And like all I can say is that whoever was running that social media page can't have worked on a mine site before because the
Yep.
question was structured in such a way that it was like a town job and everybody was arriving in their own car. I mean, anybody that's worked on
Mm.
a mine site before knows everybody's got to make it to the bus, and then you take the bus out to site and you to and from site with the bus. And if you miss the
Yep.
bus a couple of times, you only miss the bus a couple of times because if you miss it more than a couple of times, you don't end up having a job. And
Yep.
yeah, I just don't understand where questions like that come from in if you really have proper mining experience and you know what the hell's going on because like people just aren't late because if you're late too many times, you just don't end up having a job.
Yeah. And even drive in, drive out jobs, you're still driving to a car park, usually at camp or at the gate, and then you are getting bussed in. You're not ever just driving your car onto site by yourself.
Yeah, so all the mines around Kalgoorlie, they're all bus in and bus out. I used to drive in and drive
Yep.
out because I used to do shift bossing sometimes and it was easier to take my own car out. But everybody looked at me like I was fucking stupid because why aren't you having a beer on the bus on the way home? Or why aren't you getting the bus
Yeah.
to work again? Having a sleep to and from work and all that sort of stuff. And again, it's like you can't show up for work late if you miss the bus. You can miss
Yep.
the bus and not show up for work at all, but you can't like show up 10 minutes late. That sort of stuff just doesn't happen. So,
No, it
yeah.
doesn't.
And
Unless you're working, yeah, in a utility role or a role in camp or something like that where you're going to be late. And even then, it's not going to fly because everyone else is always on time. You might have a sleep in here and there, or someone's alarm didn't go off, or a random things happened. But yeah, if you're someone that's consistently late all the time, they're not. You're not going to. It's going to piss your team off if you are in a village type role or something, you can do that in. And B, they're not going to put up with that. You're going to start getting written warnings because there's so many people that want work.
yeah. And walking around in the morning, it's like where's so and so? And if you haven't seen so and so by 5:15 and the bus is leaving at 5:25 or 5:30 in the morning, then you're going and knocking on
Mm.
their door to make sure that they're up or something like that. It's
Yeah,
not
and
like
they're all
they're
right. Yeah.
physically walking in late for work. And if you do physically walk in late for work and you've walked across and all that sort of stuff, as the shift boss or the foreman, you're going to be drug tested. You're going to be breathalyzed. You're going to have everything,
Yeah.
and they're going to want to know why and they're going to want to know how you got here and all that sort of stuff. And I mean,
Yeah.
it does happen occasionally, but the way the question got put, it was like it was happened all the time and it was an office job. And I just,
Yeah.
it didn't ring true as a question. And I know there's been a few others around about living conditions on site and the
Yeah.
way things work and all that sort of stuff. And they're just really random questions that are sort of being put up by somebody that can't have a lot of mining experience, even though they're supposed to be running a page that says that they've got a lot of mining experience. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah. I think rule of the day is be really careful about where you're getting mining advice from and who you're asking. Because like Andrew said, you go onto some of these pages, there's thousands and thousands of members. And the admins are all busy. A lot of them don't have mining experience either. And, there's all these uneducated responses and answers to the questions. And these people are getting not only conflicting information, but 90% of it's wrong.
Yep. Yep. I jumped onto one post that they were asking about where's the best place to get a job at the moment or whatever. And for some reason a jumbo operator had actually jumped on from Queensland and given a really good response. And underneath it there was just random people telling him he didn't know what he was talking about and he
Yeah.
didn't know about mining and all this sort of stuff. He didn't respond to any of it because he gave the advice to the person on top. But it was just, another example of how you've actually got somebody with experience giving you real advice price, and you've got a whole heap of pretenders telling him that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, oh no, you definitely need
Yeah.
tickets in mining. That's the big one that
Yeah.
drives me
And
friggin'
that
insane.
is the big one
Yep.
that we just bang on about every day is, someone posts something like that. What do I need to do? I want an entry level role. I want to be a dump truck operator. I want a traineeship. I want to do this. I want to get a foot in the door. And all these people, oh, you need this ticket, that ticket, that ticket, that ticket, that ticket, and this and that, and go and do this. And it's like, no, you don't actually know what you're talking about.
It came up on my feed this morning. There was one. I've got $3,000 to spend on tickets. Where do I spend my money? It's like,
Yeah.
holy shit, what do you want to do? It's
Yeah.
go and learn how the mind works, sign up for the 3-step plan package, learn how the mind works, get your
Yeah.
resume done, get yourself a full-time job. If you're signing up for
Yeah.
tickets, they're going to send you down shutdown work or in construction work or something like that. You're probably setting yourself up to fail because the industry's changed a bit over the last 6 months, which we're actually going to talk about in the next video.
Yeah.
Cool. So have you got anything to add to that?
No, just the other thing I did want to mention while we're talking about social media was just a little bit of social media etiquette. If someone posts a job, whether they're a recruiter or maybe it's a mining group or someone's posting a job or posting something about a job or from a company, please just always think your replies, your responses, your private messages to that person. You need to keep it professional. You need to think of it as a job application, as you're contacting someone who might be have a chance to give you a job or hook you up with maybe you may build a good rapport and we may refer you off to someone that we know has roles but the amount of comments you get that people just comment interested and then expect you to chase after them because they want an entry level role and they've got no experience and they're not even in the country and they it's just insane and it's actually really frustrating and you get to the point where you're like, what, I don't even want to help you because you don't have any basic manners and you really haven't thought this through and people just firing sending their email into the inbox. You're like, what's this for? Who's this from? What do you want a job? Do you want a resume? What do you people
Yeah.
really need to have a think about what they're doing before they're firing off messages about, oh, hey bro, can you get me a job, sis or auntie or like,
Yep. Yep.
hey blondie, some guy wrote to me the other day, hey blondie, can you get me a job? And my private messages, I
Yeah.
was just like, no, block and delete.
And I don't understand how people still think that, it's who you know and not what you know anymore. I mean, like we bang on about all the time. Yes, it helps if you know somebody high up, but most people don't. Most people don't know anybody. So if you don't know anybody, then you're better off learning how it all works. Because when you walk through the door on day one and you can talk to them about refuge chambers and stench gas and cap lamp signals and what a stope and what a heading is and all that sort of wonderful stuff that they need you to know, put you 6 to 8 weeks ahead of everybody else. And that's how you get a job. They're looking
Yeah.
all the employers, the employers that still need people, because we're going to talk about that in the next video, but the employers that still need people, they need bums in seats right now and they need people as productive as
Yeah.
possible, as quickly as possible. So you need to set yourself
Yeah.
up in that parameter and that's how you'll get yourself a job. So I hope that answers people's questions with social media and the internet. Don't believe everything that you read and definitely don't go and, don't pay money to $20 to go and talk to somebody that's not going to tell you the right thing. We're more than
No.
happy to talk to you for free. If you want to engage in the
Yeah.
courses and the resumes and all that sort of stuff, then that costs money. But we're happy to answer you basic questions about the industry. We won't charge you money for that.
No. Yeah.
Cool. So if you've got a question about the industry, please send it through. And if you could share this video around and like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.
Thanks.